having positive responses. The military and other security agencies are right now in the forest to make sure that they are rescued unharmed.
Contacts have been made with abductors of Kankara school students. Governor Masari informs newsmen after briefing President Buhari.
We must call out government officials who are making it difficult for people to do business.
Take a look at regulations stalling growth of micro, small and medium-scale enterprises. Vice President Oshibajo advises state governors. And House of Reps Committee on Information makes case for more funding of government-owned media outfits. Hello, good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Joseph Johnson in Abuja. I will be joined by Jennifer Igwe in Lagos. Thanks for staying with us. Let's begin by telling you that contacts have been made with those that abducted the students of Government Science Secondary School, Kankara in Katsina State. Governor Aminu Bello Masari, who disclosed this while speaking to NTA News after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura, said the location of the missing students has also been identified. State House correspondent Adam Osambo has details.
The Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari was accompanied to the Daura residence of the President by the State Deputy Governor Maneria Kubu. He formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the attack of the Science Secondary School Kankara, the abduction of the students and rescue efforts following the massive deployment of security agencies to the area. The governor's engagement with the president is coming a day after the top echelon of the nation's security apparatus, led by Defense Minister Bashir Magashi, visited the community on a sympathy and strategic mission ordered by the president. Governor Masari told NTA News after his meeting with the president that lasted more than 1 hour that progress has been made in efforts at rescuing and reuniting the abducted students with their families.
We are having positive responses. There was a contact from the kidnappers to the parents of one of the pupils, and we have also made some contact with some of them, and we have a fair idea of the locations where the children are, and I think the military and other security agencies are right now in the forest to make sure that they are rescued unharmed. So I think there is positive development so far. We have been following up. I had to come and brief him the progress so far, I said this morning. We learned from his long years of experience as a military officer, the president, and also we have learned from his suggestions as what to do and how to go about.
The governor once again pleaded with parents of the missing students to remain calm, law-abiding and supportive as government is committed to bringing back their children hale and hearty. In Daura, Katsina State, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
As rescue operation intensifies to bring back the abducted students of Government Science Secondary School, Kankara in Katsina State, federal government delegation led by the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, has interacted with community leaders, members of the Parent Teachers Association and principal of the school. Shehu Adamu reports that the delegation was in Kankara to sympathize with the community and generate first-hand information for prompt action.
On arrival to Kankara, the delegation had a meeting with the principal of the school and members of the Parent Teachers Association, during which the principal of Government Science Secondary School Kankara and a student who escaped the attack narrated their ordeal.
Those at the hostel, they met some of the students outside. Some were washing, some were fetching water, while others were in the hostel. So they chased them out to move them into the field playground. So they divided them into three, according to some of the boys we interviewed. So some of them were giving cover. The bandits that are with the students were giving cover because they were exchanging fire with the police and the army that came. So as they were exchanging fire, this group Already they are moving with the children.
At the palace of the district head of Kankara, the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, retired, assured government commitment to rescue the missing students without collateral damage. He solicits the support and understanding of all and sundry in the rescue operations, saying that security operatives are doing everything possible to bring back the missing students. District head of Kankara and Sarikin Pawan Katsina, Yusuf Lawal, said, as law-abiding citizens, his subjects are optimistic that government will do all it takes to rescue the students. He, however, commended the timely intervention of security personnel during the attack and pledged to give all the support and assistance needed. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Women Affairs Dem Pauline Tallinn has condemned the attack on Government Science Secondary School in Kankara, Katsina State. The minister expressed shock that this mindless act is coming on the heels of the inclusion of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The Ministry of Women Affairs stands in solidarity with the President, Katsina State government and parents whose children are still missing. As a mother, I feel your pains, the Minister of Women Affairs added. In the meantime, the need to carry traditional institutions along in the scheme of things in the country has been again stressed. This was during a solidarity visit to government and people of Borno State by the National Council of Traditional Leaders, led by its chairman, Sultan of Sokoto, Dr. Muhammad Saad Abubakar, over the murder of rice farmers in the state. Mohammed Goni reports.
A part delegation of the National Council of Traditional Rulers, comprising royal fathers from the 6 geopolitical zones, according to the Sultan of Sokoto, was in Borno not only to condole, but also to issue a strong statement.
Whatever happened to you happened to us. And we call on all of us as usual. Let not relent in constantly offering prayers to Almighty Allah. For him to intercede on our behalf.
None of the holy books, either in the Quran or the Bible, where I say you kill one another, burns people's property, destroy people's property, here and there.
Governor Wagana Omar thanked members of the National Council of Traditional Rulers for the visit, which he said was a demonstration of fraternity between Borno and their kingdoms, as well as their commitment to restoration of peace to the northeast and the country.
The importance of traditional rulers need not to go by baptized. And therefore, we want to get rid of this insurgency and other problems in the country. We must have to ensure that the traditional rulers are accorded the right position in our national laws.
He assured the traditional institution that state governors are ever ready to act on recommendations of the National Council of Traditional Rulers on the way forward. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
The micro, small and medium enterprises remain the backbone of the nation's economy, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is urging states and local government councils to take a second look at some regulations that are affecting the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. This was during the inauguration of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industries Trade and Convention Center this Monday. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports.
The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, was inaugurated in July 2016 as the administration's flagship initiative to reform the business environment, attract investment, and diversify the economy to reduce the nation's reliance on oil. Varied actions are followed to deepen the ease of doing business in the country. However, there still exist some drawbacks which are of concern to the administration.
The time has come for us to have, the Chamber of Commerce paying very, very active attention to all that is going on in the MSME space, especially with respect to regulation. We must call out government officials who are making it difficult for people to do business. We simply must call them out. And this is important. If you recall, the president himself said that there is no way the private sector can thrive, no way business can thrive if government officials see themselves as roadblocks, see themselves as hindrances as opposed to facilitators.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says government's policy is to continue providing the right environment and incentive for businesses. The task ahead for the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry is to further work with PEBEC in making the business environment better. And the chamber is already taking a leap into that to serve as a model for other states.
No doubt that the kind of people that will use this place, I mean, a lot will come out of this place, without a doubt, that will positively impact on the future of our country.
What we do here, we also do training, vocational training, special skills, technology skills, and so on, to enable us create workability, employability. Many of our young graduates actually have challenges because of skills. So in addition to your degree, we also provide skills here.
The chamber also solicits more support from government into making Abuja an industrial hub. In Abuja, Jude Onifade, NTA News.
A bit on the judiciary now. The Chief Justice of Nigeria has again called for adequate funding for the nation's judiciary arm of government, both at the state and federal levels. This was part of the high point of the commencement of the 2020-2021 new legal year ceremony, where 72 legal practitioners were elevated to senior advocates of Nigeria. Femi Okewo reports.
The 2020-2021 new legal year for the Supreme Court has had to drag to December due to the lockdown which the country experienced earlier in the year. But its eventual celebration came with the highest number of legal practitioners conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, 72 in all, in any single ceremony since the award started over 4 decades ago. The ceremony was also used to take stock of activities of the legal profession, with the Chief Justice of Nigeria in a message read by Justice Bodero's Vivo expressing concern about the funding of the third arm of government.
The welfare of judicial officers is another crucial issue that we can't afford to sweep under the carpet. The paltry sum of money being collected as monthly salaries is an issue that needs urgent redress. The annual budget has been on a steady decline, and that has adversely affected the state of infrastructure in our courts.
Attorney General of the Federation and other speakers made similar contributions, calling for respect for court judgments at all levels.
The Ministry of Justice has also developed, first of its kind, a national policy on justice and securing the Federal Executive Council for the implementation across the country.
The new Senior Advocate of Nigeria pledged to work towards a better legal profession in the country.
It means we have to step up and serve this country better than any other time.
It's a thing of joy. It's something one has been yearning for.
It is a call to greater service in the legal profession, to support the judiciary, to work harder.
So many unusual and uncommon things have come with the year 2020, but man has continued to respond positively to these things. Part of them we have seen in this conferment at the Supreme Court for the year 2020-2021. Femi Okewo, NTA News.
A 13-member Monitoring and Stabilization Technical Committee on Petrol Price Framework has been inaugurated in Abuja. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, while inaugurating the members, says the committee is to enthrone transparency in the task given to them, as the report of the committee is to be submitted by the 25th of January 2021.
Government has taken a back seat. Government has not fixed the price that took off from today. It was a price reduction gotten from the commercials, like demurrage, transshipment, and even storage. And this committee will be expected to do more to ensure transparency.
I hope at the end our contributions will help lighten the load on all the parties that are involved in making this heavyweight decision for the country.
Members of the technical committee include federal government representatives, the organized labor, and other stakeholders in the petroleum industry. This is the NTA Network News at 9. Time for some messages. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Electors have begun to cast their votes for the affirmation of the 2020 presidential election. The Electoral College vote started Monday morning in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, a move that will officially confirm Joseph Biden Jr. as the president-elect and Kamala Harris as the vice president-elect. Adebola Brooks-Linsonday reports.
When Americans go to the polls in presidential election, they are actually voting for a group of officials who make up the Electoral College. These people are electors, and their job is to choose the president and vice president. They meet every 4 years, few weeks after election day, to carry out the task. The number of electors from each state is roughly in line with the size of its population. Each state gets as many as it has lawmakers in the U.S. Congress, with California having the highest, 55, while North Dakota has the least of 3. On November 3rd this year, Americans went to the polls to cast their ballot for the man who will serve as U.S. president for the next 4 years. At the end of the exercise, it was victory for Joe Biden of the Democrats after polling 306 electoral votes, defeating the incumbent Donald Trump of the Republican Party, who polled 232 electoral votes. President Trump had sought to challenge the election results legally and with political pressure.
It's amazing how those mail-in ballots are so one-sided, too. I know that it's supposed to be to the advantage of the Democrats, but in all cases, they're so one-sided.
The results of the election, which began with Vermont's electors, will be sent to Washington and tallied in a January 6 joint session of the Congress, which will be presided over by Vice President Mike Pence. Adebola Brooks-Linsonday, NTA News.
All right, let's just zoom in on the U.S. election a little bit, as I have with me Dr. Adoyi Omale. He has a PhD in Political Economy and Development Studies and is currently lecturer at the Department of International Relations and Diplomacy based University, Abuja. He is also a politician, consultant, and an activist. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Omale, for joining us on NTA Network News.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here.
All right, so in the U.S. system, voters actually cast their ballot for electors, who in turn formally vote candidates weeks after the election. And this process has begun again. So how effective has it been, talking about the process now, for the United States of America?
I think the United States have been, over the years, have been practicing this electoral college system. And in several other countries, few other countries like Burundi, India, and some other countries, they've been practicing this electoral college system. It has been working for them, but this year's own has become very contentious because of Trump's insistence on winning the elections at all costs. So apart from these particular elections and the last one, the electoral system has been going smoothly. Electoral college system has been going smoothly in America. But from the last election to this one, a lot of Americans are beginning to raise questions that why will somebody who has the highest number of votes not be declared and had to go through the process of electoral college. So I think that system, Americans should take a look at it once more.
Yeah. Talking about raising questions, we understand that South Carolina's electors have voted for Donald Trump as the president. Now, should other states follow suit? What effect can these have on the year's general election?
I doubt if other states will follow suit because the way the electors are chosen, They are supposed to be loyalists of the various political parties. They are supposed to be people that have stake in the various political parties. That is the basis for because the political parties choose the electors. Yes, there have been what we call faithless electors. In the last voting and even this one, people are expecting that there will be faithless electors. The faithless electors basically are those that the party nominates, and on the day of the election, they will vote for the other candidates. And just like you have said, yes, some has already started doing that, but it will not be significant enough. The gap is awesome, 306 to 232. I mean, the gap is large. So even if there are going to be faithless electors, it will not have significant impact on the election.
Okay, finally, because you're running out of time, the U.S. election this year is characterized by violence, isn't it? Let's just know what this portends, right? Because even President Trump is still contesting the result. What does this portend for the developed democracy, especially for countries that see America as a pace-setter and model?
I think America being the bastion of democracy, we expect there are certain minimum standards that we expect. And that is why most Democrats are not happy the way Trump has taken this whole issue of this American election. I think Trump's insistence or the way he has conducted himself so far has raised a lot of questions. And I think it's about his character as a person, not necessarily the American spirit. He has divided America to a large extent, which is not good for American democracy. A lot of people are now raising questions, especially we in the developing world. If this can happen in America, if there could be ballot snatching in America, so why would they now be condemning? Why will America come and supervise our own elections? Because come and monitor our own elections when they are not getting it right? I think these are questions that a lot of people have raised. But you see the role the judiciary is playing in America. Unlike in our climb here, the judiciary has been very firm. The interest of America is being put above any other interest, including the interest of Trump. And that is what you are going to see play out going forward.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts on this particular subject matter with us, Dr. Adoyi Omale. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on now to... Let's bring you COVID-19 related stories now. A new task force on vaccine has been set by the government to look into the many vaccine candidates and advise on that which is appropriate for the country in combating the coronavirus pandemic, just as Nigeria continues to record an increasing wave of coronavirus infections. Minister of State for Health, who made this known to the press after meeting with the Vice President again, reminded Nigerians of the need to protect themselves against the pandemic by observing the non-medical measures as prescribed by the Presidential Task Force and the Ministry of Health. The minister says Nigeria, like other affected countries, is making efforts to ensure that the country gets an equitable share of available vaccines.
You recall that in the Spanish flu of 1918, more people died in the second wave than the first wave. So we don't want that kind of history to repeat itself. But we know what is happening in some climes right now in terms of hospitalization and deaths and so on from this COVID-19 pandemic. We are doing our best in terms of preparing as to how we also get our own vaccines. But there are so many issues around that. The cost element is there. There are so many considerations.
And Kaduna State is recording high COVID-19 infection figures reminiscent of the first wave of spread between April and June this year. The new wave posing danger to lives and livelihood is worrisome to both government and the people. Muhammad Umar Ajingi in this report takes a look at how the citizens are violating safety protocols.
The new COVID-19 infection rate is on the rise in Kaduna State, especially among the youths.
A few days ago, the State Commissioner of Health says the infection rate is high among persons between the age of 10 to 35. And if people refuse to obey the prevention protocols of properly wearing their face masks, observing social distancing, the high rate of infection may overwhelm the health system.
The state government had earlier placed the citizens on maximum alert, urging the residents to adhere to safety measures and avoid social gatherings.
The rates of infection are surging ahead, and no person will be allowed to enter any government office, any hospital without mask and maintaining social distancing.
In spite of the early warnings, the residents are still not observing the preventive protocols.
We never allow members or begin to tell our members that by faith they will be healed. There are certain things that is not issue of faith, it's issue of obedience. And the Bible commanded everyone to obey.
We always remind people that the best thing we can do is to protect ourselves against this thing, to prevent the spread of it, even in the mosque. If you look at our mosque today now, you must be on your face mask.
The state government says it is scaling up testing, sensitizing and getting the isolation centers fully prepared to handle infected persons, but call on the citizens to take responsibility of respecting the preventive protocols to avoid spreading the virus. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umarajingi, NTA News.
Boa Foundation has presented 3 ambulances and 2,000 pieces of face masks to the Borno State government as part of efforts to contain the second wave of coronavirus pandemic. Representatives of the foundation, Dr. Aliyu Idi Hong, presented the materials to Governor Babagana Umar Zulum at the Government House. Maiduguri Mohammed Goni reports.
Idi Hong said the 3 ambulances and the face masks were donated to complement government's effort at improving lives and humanitarian services to the people of Borno State.
When they were saying second wave, we thought it was a joke, but in the recent few days, we have seen resurgence of this pandemic. We want to say that with all the good work Your Excellency is doing, with all the support you have given the state, corporate organizations and individuals are supposed to come to the aid of the state toward helping solving this problem.
Governor Babagana Umar thanked the founder Abdul Samad Ishaq Rabiu for touching the lives of the people of Borno, saying the materials will go a long way in averting the second wave of COVID-19.
Let me, on behalf of the government and people of Borno State, to convey my deep appreciation to the chairman and chief executive of the Boa Foundation, Alhaji Abdul Samad, for donating these items to the government of Borno State for onward delivery to our health institutions with a view to containing the COVID-19 pandemic in the state.
The governor directed the Minister of Health to ensure judicious utilization of the materials. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Let's now turn our attention to Lagos now, where Jennifer is standing by with some stories. Jennifer?
Welcome to Lagos. Now, strengthening preparedness and response to emerging and re-emerging infections is a priority that requires a collective approach. This was the focus at one-week-long training of military personnel on public health organized by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control in Lagos. Lynn Lineke reports.
Owing to the likelihood of a second wave of COVID-19 and other re-emerging infections, it has become necessary for proper health measures to be taken to protect citizens. At this gathering, health experts are brainstorming on ways to ensure rapid and accessible preventive and treatment options.
We've been able to put them through on how to coordinate response, on how to manage disease outbreaks of any type. No matter the type of incidents, you should put up the IMS structure, which serves as a coordination platform.
The take home from all of the trainings we've had thus far, the Nigerian Navy, Army and Air Force, to up their antics at being prepared for emergencies and re-emergent diseases.
This synergy by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and the military personnel is to bridge existing gaps and identify potential challenges to public health.
NCDC has already trained many state governments to put in place a structure that can respond effectively to emergencies. And they're now bringing further into the military setup.
If not for COVID-19, we wouldn't have been able to understand that the health system is deficient, and not just in the infrastructural level, and also inter-health coordination and communication.
As a public health physician, it goes beyond doing clinical work. You need to have that ability to be on the watch out for any emergency wherever you work.
The theme of the training, public health, emergency management training for military personnel, is critical to the health sector. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
And on security, community policing as an alternative security option has further been strengthened in Lagos and Ogun states to enable the people become more active and complement efforts of security agencies in tackling crime. At the third investiture of police community patrons, Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2, Ahmed Ilyasu, said more synergy between the police and communities, crime and criminalities will be effectively managed. Diana Ajale reports.
The 12-member community patrons, including traditional rulers, captains of industry, among others, were inaugurated to enable them bring their experiences to bear and come on board with more formidable team in addressing insecurity in Lagos and Ogun states.
My community and my personal self will continue to give them all the support that is needed.
Wholeheartedly commend you and encourage you to do more. And may you never be tired of doing such to your community and the nation at large.
Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2 Command Ahmed Ilyasu, who was recognized at the investiture for excellent performance, sought for the cooperation of the public in ensuring maximum security within his jurisdiction comprising Lagos and Ogun states.
Need for you to go back and change the rhythm and change the decimal. This is the time you are most needed for the safety and security of this country.
For the Nigeria Police Force, strategic collaboration with other security agencies and community members will go a long way in boosting national security. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Time for a break now. The news will continue shortly with Joseph Johnson in Abuja.
You're still watching NTA Network News, and we are back in Abuja. The House Committee on Information has called for more funding of government's information agencies to be able to perform their duties of informing and educating the public. Chairman, House Committee on Information, Adebumi Olusegun, made the appeal after the committee's oversight to two information agencies. Johnny Aku has details.
Agencies are the Voice of Nigeria and the News Agency of Nigeria.
Use their handset at the moment. It is giving us a lot of stress because so many mistakes come with using an Android phone for an iOS system. And that's precisely why we needed your assistance.
A radio station that is supposed to call the BBC, the VOA, they are coming to help us to advance our message to the authorities.
At the News Agency of Nigeria, the committee decried low performance of its internally generated revenue for the year 2020, a situation blamed on COVID-19 pandemic.
We've taken note of these apparent lapses. Let me just use apparent lapses. And we will tidy up as soon as possible.
The committee, however, observed that government should save resources from ministries and other agencies which are deviating from their constitutional rules by establishing radio and television stations to serve the same purpose.
The agriculture ministries are coming up with the radio, they are coming up with their radio stations. Many ministries are coming up with their radio. Why are we duplicating effort? All those money you are using for another radio, can't you give it to the Ministry of Information or Radio Nigeria to perform their duty?
This, he says, will save government funds that can put its information agencies on a sound footing to perform. John Yaku, NTA News.
Federal and state governments are working out strategies to improve on the nation's internally generated revenue and strengthen tax laws for effective fiscal regime in the country. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this was at the 6th IGR peer learning organized by the Nigeria Governors Forum to bridge existing revenue gaps and review performance of states in meeting future expenditures.
The successful recovery from 2016 recession did not offer adequate time frame for effective economic transition before the COVID-19 economic lockdown and the NSAS protests plunged Nigeria into another phase of economic downturn. These factors are reasons for the joint efforts by federal and state governments to establish frameworks that will improve revenue drive, repeal financial acts, and strengthen tax policies for revenue-generating agencies.
So this meeting that is holding here today is giving us a further opportunity to interact with the states and grow the revenue together and grow the economy together.
We must collaborate, share data, intelligence and information.
It has been wonderful to see the political leadership from the governors, the dedication to making progress.
Khalid Ibrahim Ahmed is the secretary of Nasarawa State Internal Revenue Service, and his Oyo State counterpart John Adeleke say hopes are not lost as strategies are being improved to stabilize budget funding and performance in the interest of development.
Despite the COVID-19 thing, based on also on the realistic budget that we have, Nasarawa State has performed tremendously.
We have done fairly well.
While this commitment are sustained, federal government says it is determined to improve the GDP to 15% growth rate as well as reduce public spending and sustain financial interventions for rapid economic transformation. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The application of traditional complementary and alternative medicine is not new to Nigeria, but what is lacking is an efficient institution for formal training of practitioners. It is this gap that the Federal College of Traditional Complementary and Alternative Medicine of Nigeria Establishment Bill seeks to close. The proposed law was subjected to the public for input. Ignatius Nkowa has more.
As the world grapples with the containment of the second wave of COVID-19, the Nigerian Senate is not ignoring other health concerns of Nigerians. This public hearing by the Senate Committee on Health is in response to two major health bills. A bill that seeks to give legal backing to the Federal College of Traditional, Complementary and Alternative Medicine of Nigeria, and the bill for an act to provide for the prevention, control and management of sickle cell anemia.
We cannot undermine research in the traditional option as well. A Federal College of Traditional, Complementary and Alternative Medicine will be a platform for such investigations.
There were submissions from the Ministry of Health, Association of Traditional African Medicine and other practitioners.
Is to take the tools of medicine to examine, the tools of science to examine traditional medicine, complementary medicine and alternative medicine. And this bill seems to almost duplicate what the ministry is already doing.
The college was a creation of the ministry. And we still have staff. Because we need to put the record. And these staff are drawing money from public funds. They are not doing any work.
If this House Chamber decide that we want to call it an institute, no problem. Inasmuch as the present staff of that particular college will not suffer any relegation by whatever means.
The need for regulated and standard African traditional medical practice that will complement the conventional medical practice in the country.
Ironically, sickle cell anemia, which is said to be preventable, is increasingly becoming a challenge to Nigeria's healthcare system.
So, but we need to have an agency in the ministry that will be charged with research on all of these disorders. And so that funding will be provided and research will be done on all of these things.
We believe as an organization it's important to classify sickle cell disorder as a disability.
This bill seeks to provide for a strong political will and the provision of more funds for its prevention and control. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps Boboye Oyeyemi has tasked commanding officers to brace themselves, be more proactive and ensure immediate deployment of personnel for aggressive sensitization of the motoring public on the need to observe maximum safety precautionary measures in the face of the recent threat of the second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The FRSC boss further directed that safety managers domiciled with fleet operators must endeavor to ensure strict compliance to all standing directives given by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, including provision of running water and hand-washing equipment and making available hand sanitizers both in parks, terminals and in the vehicles. Oyeyemi stated that as the Corps commences this year's end-of-year special patrol towards the successful Christmas and New Year celebrations, the Corps will not relent in its commitment to safer motoring equipment, as commanding officers have been directed to heighten advocacy and advise motorists to avoid overloading both in goods and passengers. Let's just take a short break. Stay with us. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with government and people of Adamawa State over the passing of former Attorney General of Kongola State, who was also Galadima of Adamawa, Alhaji Murtala Aminu. President Buhari believes the former Attorney General's contribution to nation building will always be remembered, especially in the strengthening of legal institutions, while his effort at community development remains remarkable and exemplary. The president praised for the repose of Alhaji Aminu's soul. Let's now quickly take a look at the weather forecast.
Glad to have you join us. So we have moisture reaching up to the southern parts of the central cities. You can tell by the presence of some few clouds hanging around the atmosphere. This could only cause some high level of discomfort by increasing the temperature over this region. And over to the coastal parts of the country, it should be mostly cloudy with prospects of morning thunderstorms over parts of Akwa Ibom. And bulk of the weather activities comes during the afternoon into evening hours, where cities around Yenagoa, Port Harcourt and Cross River should be busy with thunderstorms. And that's your weather for Tuesday. I am Akami Samarda.
And that's NTA Network News for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Joseph Johnson. Good night.